So tomorrow Jake and I leave to fly to Maryland, and we'll be seeing my neurosurgeon on Thursday, and we're basically going to talk about some more details about the surgery that he's recommending for me and what we're going to do moving forward. Say hi.
Hi.
Hey guys, so a few days ago we traveled to Maryland to see my new neurosurgeon for the second time, and we basically were there to discuss some of the treatment options that we had tried and talk in further detail about what kind of surgical approach he was going to recommend for me. And at my last appointment, he let us know that he didn't think that I would be able to avoid surgery based on the severity of my instability, but that we could try physical therapy in case it might help. And I did that, and my physical therapy unfortunately didn't help and actually did aggravate quite a bit of my symptoms that were originally helped with my neck brace. And so we kind of saw that, I wasn't headed in the right direction with physical therapy, even though I had a fantastic physical therapist knowledgeable about EDS and CCI and everything. My neurosurgeon went over my rotational CT scan, which is basically a supine CT scan where you look all the way to the left and all the way to the right, and they assess the instability of your C1, C2 in your neck. And so I do have instability and subluxation of my C1 C2, which is also called atlantoaxial instability. Is recommending for me a craniocervical fusion from the base of my skull to C2 in my neck, as well as Chiari Decompression, which is basically taking out a piece of my skull in order to relieve the pressure that the bottom of the brain is putting on my brainstem and my spinal cord. And so this is definitely a very major surgery and not something to be taken lightly. And so he spent a long time with us discussing the benefits and the risks of this surgery, and he was very real with us about the fact that, I have EDS and spinal instability and Chiari and intracranial hypertension, and that makes for a very complex patient. And so we know that this surgery is not a cure, and we know that there's a chance that I might need more surgeries in the future, but my quality of life right now is quite frankly pretty low. I'm in a lot of pain, I have a lot of symptoms, and I'm not able to do anywhere near the amount of things that I would like to be able to do and that I used to be able to do. Something we also discussed is that I actually have some pretty significant instability from C3 to C5 or C6, and he is hoping that most of my symptoms are coming from my upper instability and Chiari, and that we might be able to avoid having to fuse down that far. And he always likes to be conservative and fuse the least amount possible, which I like. He also recommended that we try something called prolotherapy, which is basically a special type of injection that you can get into your neck, and it can help promote healing. I don't know a lot about it yet, but we're going to do research and find out more about that to try. Unfortunately, it's not covered by insurance and it's kind of expensive, but we're definitely going to look into it. And my neurosurgeon tends to recommend that his patients only try it from C3 and below in their spine, because if you go up higher than C3, then there are a lot of risks. They have to go in through like your mouth and have to bypass some major arteries and whatnot, and so he really tries not to recommend that in his patients because of the risk. Anyways, so we went ahead and we scheduled the surgery for early May, and so now we have a date, so it feels a little bit more real. I haven't 100% decided in my head, like, I'm having this surgery and we're gonna do it, but I'm closer to that, I guess you could say. I'm gonna continue researching and praying and making sure that this is the right choice for me and my health. But I did feel peace with the appointment, and I felt like it is the right direction for us to go. I'm definitely not excited about that or happy about that, but I'm thankful that we do have an option and we do have hope, and we know what has made me this sick for this long, and hopefully it will give me a lot of my quality of life back. So anyways, my neurosurgeon is very big on surgery as a last resort, and so that has definitely been in my mind for months, and it really does feel like I don't have other options right now with my current condition to improve my quality of life. And so we discussed this with him, and we talked about this with him, and he felt like surgery was the right next step for me. I made it back home, and it was a long, painful trip back, but I did just want to point out that medical travel is definitely a privilege and a blessing, and not everyone is able to do it, but that doesn't make it easy for those of us that are able to do it. It really is hard on our sick bodies. But right now we are just going to be praying and researching and trying to decide on this surgery for me. And for anyone else in the same boat, my heart goes out to you, and I know how hard it is to make this decision. This surgery is definitely one that is in its infancy, and so there's not a lot of long-term research on, how the surgery will go, and a lot of patients that have this surgery have continued instability down their neck and spine, and there are just a lot of scary stories out there, and so it's a tough decision to make, but keep in mind that there are a lot of positive stories too, and those that have a great result from their craniocervical fusions probably aren't on the internet and social media quite as much as those that do struggle more and have more complications. And I definitely have heard several success stories that are very encouraging, and so I like to keep that in mind. Just remember that ultimately it's your decision and how you feel about the surgery versus what everyone is telling you online, though that information can be useful in many ways. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video, but I hope that it was helpful in some way, and I'm definitely curious to know if doing videos where it's more like vlogging and showing daily life is interesting to you guys, or if you want me to stick to videos where it's more about awareness and different conditions and treatments and surgeries. So let me know, and I will try to make more videos that you guys are most interested in. Thanks!